Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to Wine.
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 95. Yay. 95.
We did it.
I'm going to be honest.
We did it, Joe.
I got so distracted today before the show, I didn't look up any tidbits about 1995. But we'll do that really quick right now.
1995 fun facts. Just the facts. No, what is it? No
right
cap?
off the top, Brad Pitt was named Sexiest Man Alive. This is like a Legends of the Fall time era.
I just want to tell you
So-
that Brad Pitt, Legends of the Fall, was the hottest Brad Pitt. It was as hot as Brad Pitt.
Yeah,
gets.
he was-
There's a scene in that movie where Julia Ormond is in a jail cell and she's looking at him and crying and she's like, "I just want to be with you." And I was like, "I feel you, girl." He was hot in that. Now, I mean, he was hot in Thelma and Louise, but
yeah,
he
Thelma and
was-
Louise was the hottest Brad Pitt for me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He was a bad boy in this, and he was a good person, and he was just hot. It makes me, I'm not gonna say that. I mean, there's a part of it that makes me laugh, but it just makes me laugh, and it's probably for reasons that I shouldn't say out loud. But I'll tell you after the podcast.
Oh, all right.
Maybe we'll edit that part out just so people don't feel left out. I'm just kidding. We don't edit anything. OJ. The OJ trial was 95.
It was, yes, because the murder happened. Do you know when the murder happened?
Are we sure it was a murder still? Is that all?
Do you know when the incident happened?
I'm sure he would be getting pardoned soon if he were convicted. When?
June 12th, 1994.
Oh, wow.
My birthday. My 15th birthday.
That should have been a sign.
Those two were murdered.
Wow.
I don't know by who, but probably OJ.
Allegedly.
But yes, his he's dead. He can't sue me now.
Can his estate?
Does he even have an estate? He got sued into the ground, literally.
Oh. Poor OJ. And then this is the point where a former employee of Watermark would scream across the office, "Poor OJ, my ass."
1995, we got our very first Pixar full-length movie, Toy Story, changing animation forever.
We also, do you know what the largest film premiere in history as of 1995 was?
The largest film premiere?
Yeah.
Like the biggest opening weekend? Or
The largest film premiere in history with 100,000 people attending in New York. So I guess the premiere.
Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you just see that?
No, I swear to God, I know that.
How does a person even know that?
Because particularly back in the 90s, during their Renaissance,
that's right.
Disney used to have these huge blowout openings, like not openings, but like the premieres of their movies. And they would invite like hundreds and thousands of people and have them in stadiums and stuff. Like The Lion King had like tens of thousands of people there.
Oh. Do you know what album came out in 1995? It's a big deal. Turned it into a musical.
Jagged Little Pill.
You ought to know.
Yes.
It's Jagged Little Pill, in case you didn't think that you ought to know. Feel so stupid today.
Anyways, yeah, that was one of my pinnacle albums of the 90s that really settled me into being a lesbian in high school. I was a full-on lesbian. I loved flannel. I loved
Do you still have your
Home
Doc
Depot.
Martens?
Yep, I liked boots, and I loved Alanis Morissette and Paula Cole and Melissa Etheridge.
And running around without a bra on.
They couldn't put me in a bra in the 90s. Many tried, but I never wore one.
So many moving violations.
But yeah, that was a good album. Love
You know
that
what that
album.
reminds me of, and I apologize. It's just funny to me because, Michael Che does this a lot. Did you watch Saturday Night Live?
Who was on this one? Oh, this was the one with Bill.
No, Charlie XCX.
Who was the host?
Charlie XCX.
She hosted or was the musical guest?
Yes.
Oh, no, I didn't watch that one.
She was both of them. There was a thing, and there was during Weekend Update. Michael Che said that there's some that I don't know, what do you call, it's not historians, what's the opposite of a historian? People who predict the future, I don't know, researchers said that in 6 million years that they expect that men will be extinct because of the trends of of how rapidly more women are born than men or something like that. And then he said, so hang in there, women. You'll get your little lady president one of these days. I was like, oh, too soon, Michael Che. Too soon. That's Che, C-H-E, Michael Che.
Yeah. This is kind of a dead giveaway, but do you know what was the product of 1995? Sold over 7 million copies in its first month.
Copies?
Yeah.
Of a product.
Of a product. Windows 95.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh.
I mean, it's right there in the name. The Windows 95 is credited for... No, it's not the first one. It's the one that is credited for the big computer boom, and everybody basically by the end of the year, everybody had a computer in their house.
Is that the one that came with a little clippy? Was he the
He's with Word? Yeah, he came on with the first word. First word. But no, Windows 95 was kind of it's still kind of the basic layout of what we use today. If you use a Microsoft computer, if you use Windows, if you use that Apple shit, I don't know what yours looks like. Yeah, that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably enough facts about that.
95
95
was no 1994. I'll tell you that.
What was the big movie of the year? What was the big song of the year?
Oh, big movie of the year. I think Toy Story might have been the biggest movie. Oh, no, maybe I don't think it was number one. Let's see. 95 biggest movie was Batman Forever, Apollo 13, and Toy Story was number 3. Pocahontas was number 4. Disney was having quite a year.
I don't know that I ever saw Pocahontas or that I really care for Pocahontas.
What?
Ooh, Take a Bow. Was that a 1995 song? I do enjoy me some
Madonna from movies.
Madonna from movies, yeah. Gangsta's Paradise, was that 1995?
Ooh, that was a good movie. Do you know what the biggest, because the top movies that I listed were from the U.S. Do you know what the biggest movie in the world was of 1995? Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, really?
The third Die Hard was the biggest movie in the world.
With Samuel L. Jackson.
It's a good movie, yeah.
It's a good one.
Had no idea that was the biggest movie of the year.
Do you know
Followed by Toy Story, GoldenEye, Pocahontas, and Batman Forever.
Would this be surprising? Probably not surprising because it's about cops, but I love those movies. All of them. I don't think I dislike any. Maybe the second one I don't care for as much as the rest of them. But
the second one is definitely better than the fourth and the fifth one.
No, the one with the kid from Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, that's not a good movie.
I don't mind that one at all. I don't mind any of them. And then you know what's funny about all of them is all of them are about his relationship with his daughter.
Yeah.
And the estranged relationship with his daughter, except for the last one. Suddenly, everyone remembers that he has a son. And now it's his son who's estranged from him, and he has to go to a different country and help his son with something.
I'm pretty sure the first one's about his estrangement with his wife.
Yeah. But you notice that he has a daughter.
Starts with his wife, moves to his daughter, then to his son.
Yeah.
He's got to make it through the whole family. And at one point there, he's estranged from Samuel L. Jackson. He has to work that out.
Can you believe that? When he has to walk with that sandwich board at the beginning of that? Ooh, in Harlem? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah. As a child, when I watched that movie, I was like, nee.
Did I ever tell you about the time I walked through Harlem in the middle of the night?
With a sandwich board?
No, I didn't have a sandwich board.
Oh, no. I never heard
I had a sandwich.
Oh,
No,
all right.
So I was dating a guy who, I was living in North Carolina at the time. I was going to college, and this guy started dating. He started school at Columbia University. And I missed him, of course, because, it was my first time I was really in love, and I was enamored, and it was like, he's my life. And if I could go back in time and have a conversation with myself, calm down, kid. But anyway, I went to his sister, no, his brother, some relative of his, and I was like, can I borrow your car? I want to drive up to New York this weekend and see him. And I was going to surprise him and not tell him. But then I felt like I should probably tell him, like, when I got there. So here I am. I parked the car. As soon as I get into New York, I parked the car at Port Authority because I've never driven to New York before. I think I had been there. I don't even know if I had been there. I think I'd been there once. And so I parked the car at Port Authority, and I grabbed my suitcase, and I start walking down Broadway at 1 a.m.
Good God. In the 90s?
In the 90s.
Ooh, that's a dangerous time to be in New York at 1 a.m.
I'm walking down the street, and I look across the street, and I notice there's like a group of like 5 guys. And as I'm walking and stopping, they're walking alongside of me. Oh. And then I get to the point, and I start to walk across the street, and then they're standing there on the street corner, and I stop, and I walk back. And so I walk back to the side of the street I was on. They all start clapping. Like, smart move, kid, because we were about to steal your shit. And so then I was like, well, fuck this. I got in a cab. And so I took a cab to Columbia, and then he and I were going to walk to get my car and move it closer to Columbia. And we just started walking, and our Columbia's right there at Harlem. But we didn't walk down Broadway. We went in a little bit to Harlem. And as soon as we got like 2 blocks in, some guy comes up to us, and he goes, this neighborhood doesn't need 2 little white boys walking around in the middle of the night. Let me get you a cab. And he put us in a cab and sent us on our way. That's my Harlem story. I have another Harlem story.
It's like Martin Scorsese telling a story.
Yeah, I have another Harlem story that involves a couch that ended up on the cover of Ebony magazine.
Go on.
So I hooked up with somebody, and then he was from Orlando, and he had come to visit, and I was going through a hard time with an ex and that kind of thing. And he was like, I'm going to show you a good time, and and show you that you're valued and you're important. And then we ended up hooking up like on this couch. And then we woke up to like the person who owned the place and the couch like yelling. He was so mad, and we were like, oh, I gotta go. Anyway, he was just so mad because they were doing a photo shoot in that like of his place, and that couch was on the cover of Ebony magazine.
I hope you cleaned it beforehand. Hate to think that a dirty couch was on the cover of a magazine.
Yeah, it was a white couch.
Yeah.
So if there was going to be anything on it, can you imagine you let somebody come and stay at your house, and then you come in and there's him and some stranger naked on it, and you're like, no. I've got to take pictures. Anyway, it was a good time. That's not the point of all these stories, though. Where were we? How was your week?
You want to tell another Harlem story?
I don't know that I have any more.
Just the 2.
Just the 2.
I don't have any Harlem stories. Although I do have many hookup stories. Yeah, we won't get into those. My week was good. It was a good week.
Do you want to tell us about it?
Sure. First thing I want to talk about is I went to Universal Studios. I was invited over there because they launched this new Wicked, the experience over there.
Oh, yeah?
So it's like, they're like, the press release is like, oh, it's this immersive, we've got different scenes from the movies and this and that. And
is it like where you're walking through Target and everybody, including the employees, is singing those notes from Defying Gravity?
No, there was no singing.
That sounds like a terrible Wicked experience.
Yeah, no, that was
that commercial.
Yeah, there was no singing. However, Elphaba and Galinda were both there. And so we're doing photos and everything at the entrance. And there was a lovely time. It was a lovely experience. Well, whether they do media events like this, like you get newspapers and you get television show, the local news and all that out there, but you also get influencers, and the influencers are we cover a broad range of news and topics, and influencers usually have like a shtick or a niche that they're a part of, and these are obviously theater influencers or Wicked influencers or people who are obsessed with Wicked.
Look, I'm a theater major, and I could already picture what the hell you had to experience.
these people were losing their damn minds over Elphaba and Glinda and taking photos. And, whether it's Universal or Disney, they do the whole, they're the characters. You don't break character.
They're in it.
But all the influencers also wanted to be a part of the show. So they'd get up there and they'd be like, oh, what brings you to the magical land of Oz? Blah, 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 blah. And they're like, oh, I just enlisted into Shiz University and I'm taking this wizarding class. And I was like, no, you're not. Take your photo and get out.
You're a sad little influencer with 13 fans.
So we went through all that and I'm like, they're all getting up there and taking photos and they're all dressed in costume. The influencers, not just the workers.
It's not an audition, people.
So then it's my turn, and I said, hey, can I just get a photo of you two? And they said, of course.
They said, what, you're not taking classes? Get out.
So they took a photo, and I was like, thank you so much, as I normally do with my job. And then I was going to move on. They're like, wait, come back. Tell us who you are. And I was like, my name's Jeremy. And they're like, ooh, where are you from, Jeremy? And I was like, Watermark. And they're like, ooh, it sounds like such a magical place. And I was like, it's all right. And they're like, what brings you here today? And I was like,
I got an invite.
Your store. I'm like, ladies, I'm not here to play with you. They'll take your photo and I'm going to go take other photos. But they wanted to do the whole character thing. And it was 8 a.m. and I had only had one coffee. And I was like, I am not in the mood to play dress up.
You should have been like, it sounds like a magical place. And you were like, yeah, it's gay.
But they were very nice, and they could tell that I was not feeling the characters. They were like, thank you.
So they hadn't met the wizard yet? They were both nice?
Yeah, well, I mean, they hadn't, I don't want to give the movie away, but yeah, they had not engaged in that.
Speaking of
climactic.
Speaking of giving the movie away, have you seen the musical?
Of course.
Okay. So, do the people who make the commercials for the movie, or do they know it's a musical?
That's kind of a going trend with musicals over the last 2 years, where they don't put the music
because they don't want people to think it's a musical.
I don't know. Either they don't want to give it away, like what it sounds like. Maybe I don't know. They don't want to until the soundtrack comes out. I don't know.
Giving away that one run over and over and over.
But I mean, the same thing earlier this year with Mean Girls, the musical that came out. There was no songs in the trailers. When Joker was released, even though the Joker sequel is sort of kind of a musical, there was no music.
Is it a musical like Dick Tracy was a musical?
No, it's a musical
or like Girl from the North Country.
It's a very weird film. You should see it when it comes on Max.
I'd rather see Smile too.
Oh, you should see that when it comes on Max too. But it's a lovely little setup. They've got costumes and props. They're replicas, but from the movies and the shows. They've got a little setup where you can take pictures with her broom, and they've got
replicas?
Yes, replicas.
This is the store.
Yeah, it's a big. It's called The Experience.
But it's a store.
But it's a big old store.
What do you experience there? Like, is there like a?
It's photo ops. It's like there's like little backdrops of the film. They have her bedroom set up. They have. I don't know why that's funny.
I was just thinking of like experience. There might be something to experience.
It's for influencers. It's for people who want to take selfies.
I'm glad nobody gives a shit about what we have to say, that we're not influencers.
But it's
nice.
just for
it's cool, and it's really nice to be invited.
Yes.
Because I wasn't there, so I can't speak anything of it. I just think it was just funny to me that it was like a hey, they've got a room, and okay. Anyway, that just made me laugh.
Yeah. So
I don't know what I would expect, but like. Not a ride, but like, well, there was an experience. They probably have Elphaba and Galinda there to meet people and have a good experience.
I don't know if they're the whole time to be honest with you. They were there when we were there. I don't know if they're set up there the whole time.
Sometimes they have class.
That is true. But yeah, it's got all the merchandise in there, and you can go in there and buy stuff.
It was fun.
It was fun. Are
you a big fan of the music of Wicked?
I do. I love Wicked.
Okay. Well, that's good. You got to go.
Yeah. So my only issue with it's right inside Universal Studios. I thought when they had first sent it out, and I thought it was going to be set up in City Walk, so you can just go. You have to buy a ticket to go to Universal to go to this little experience. So if you're already going to Universal, by all means, check it out. Get photos. It's cute. It's not something I would say, hey, get a ticket to Universal so you can go to this. But if you're already going, stop it. It's right at the gate.
There's all kinds of shit to do. Is it in the new place or no? It's Universal Studios.
It's actual Universal Studios.
Is Epic open yet?
No. Epic opens next summer.
Gotcha. And they're already selling passes?
Are they? I don't
know. I thought that they were selling annual passes.
I will say that I love the opportunity to be able to go to this Wicked experience,
100%.
and I love the people at Universal for inviting me. And I want you to keep that going next summer.
No, it's really cool. It really is.
Because I expect to be at Media Day when Epic opens.
Yeah. No, it's really important for places to reach out to LGBTQ plus media to these kind of things. And
particularly when it's super gay like that.
And there have got to be at least 15 people that we can influence.
Oh, yeah.
So we could be influencers.
I can already tell I've influenced you and Caitlin and that you're going to go to Universal and see it.
Yeah, I don't have an annual pass anymore, but I'm going to get one because my husband told me he's getting me one for Christmas, and then I will go to the experience, and it will be an experience. And it's just really nice to go and to be included in all that. But I'm sure people know that invite you to things just because you got a ticket doesn't mean you're going to be in love with something.
Yeah. And I didn't not like it. It was very crowded.
I would just say there's
the wrong kind of people. No,
there are several times during this podcast today that you will hear one or both of us say, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. And that's going to come up a couple of times.
I want you to get used to that.
Yeah. Prepare yourself.
But it was cute. And I love Wicked. It's one of my favorite musicals. Super excited for the movie to come out. So it was cute to go in there. And I did get a shiz hat. So it's like cool. I went to the university.
Well, see, I wasn't invited, so I didn't go. Maybe if I was, I'd have more to say about it.
I apologize. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed a +1 to this event.
Well, I'm just for the powers that be, we both host the podcast, so we could both be invited. Same with the Disney things. It's okay. Yeah. We could both go.
What else did I do? Did you watch the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight?
Fuck no.
You are so lucky.
Fuck no.
I was like, I was gonna watch it on Friday. I was like, you know what? I have Netflix. First of all, fuck you, Netflix. If you're going to run an event that a lot of people are going to be tuning into, a live event, make sure you got the bandwidth for it. Make sure your servers don't suck. It was all over social media. People were like, is it just me or is Netflix crashing every 5 minutes? And it was. You'd get the little dial thing turning and it would freeze. You'd have to back out, go back in. It was atrocious. It's like watching it on a potato.
Where's the appeal in this? Okay, so this is like you talk about target markets, or I was not the target market for this. Yeah. And who would have thought that Mike Tyson, at 58 years old, was gonna knock one punch, knock this kid out, who's like a tree trunk.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good description.
We had all hope.
I think most people tuned in hoping that something would happen and that Jake Paul would have to be taken out on stretcher. Because I don't think most people like Jake Paul.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But look, I suffered enough disappointment on November 5th. I just didn't need to see more disappointment. I understand. I was tired of being hopeful that somebody would knock somebody else out.
I'm not a big boxing fan. So I don't watch a lot of boxing matches. So my extent of boxing is I watch Rocky. I've seen Creed. I've seen Raging Bull. Those are exciting fights. So I thought, maybe,
God, I love the Rocky movies.
There's like 4 fights leading up to the main event. So I was like, maybe, it'll be interesting to watch a fight. First of all, boxing is fucking boring. 90% of the actual fight is them just walking around the ring, like sizing each other up. It's like very few times do they actually swing at each other in any of the matches. And then it's like they do a match and then like 40 minutes of talking about it. And, preview this. It was 4.5 hours. Tyson and Jake Paul didn't fight until midnight, and the damn thing started at 8 o'clock. I slept through most of it. and I played on my
What?
phone.
What
It was
did they do
basically
for 4 hours.
There was other matches. There was like 5 boxing matches, but they all were boring. The most exciting was there was 2 women boxers who beat the shit out of each other. That was the only exciting match. All the other ones sucked.
Do you remember when Tanya Harding and
Celebrity Boxing
and Nancy Kerrigan fight, or did Tanya Harding fight somebody
Tanya
else?
Harding fought John Bonet's mother or some shit like that. It was some other weird news person from the 90s.
What a terrible matchup.
I don't remember who she fought, but it was some. Oh no, it was
the promoter.
Oh, who was the lady who sued Bill Clinton because she said he raped her?
Linda Tripp? No.
Paula Dean.
Jones.
No, Paula Jones.
Paula Jones.
That's who she fought.
Paula Dean.
She fought Paula Jones.
Isn't she got picked to head the FDA?
Yes.
Everything must have butter.
Anyway, I forget what I was saying. Anyway, it sucked, and Netflix sucks, and the fight sucked.
Yeah, I heard. I said,
that's what I was gonna say.
Jen. I said, Jen, who won? And she goes, nobody, not even America.
Technically, Jake Paul won, but they did. It looked so staged. It was the most staged-looking fight I've ever seen in my life. Even more staged than the movie fights I had seen. But like Rosie Perez was one of the color commentators. Did she have a secret boxing career that nobody knows about? What the hell was she doing there? I don't know. Rosie Perez was there. Cedric the Entertainer. It's just the most.
It was a joke.
It was just a joke thing. And if I didn't already pay for Netflix, and if I actually paid for this fight, I'd be pissed. But I already paid for Netflix, so I didn't do it. It didn't pull any money out of my pocket.
Maybe we should do like a loser of the week when we do our podcast.
Netflix is loser of this week.
I just kicked my camera, and now it's off center. So I think I am the loser of this one. I'm gonna fix that.
Anyway, this was supposed to be a test for Netflix because I guess they're doing a live NFL game on Christmas Day, and there's going to be a Beyonce concert at halftime. So people are like, "You better get your servers fixed." You couldn't keep this boxing match on. You think you're going to keep a NFL?
Netflix is
gonna host an NFL game on Christmas Day live with Beyonce doing the halftime show. I thought you were saying
like during the halftime show, Netflix was going to put Beyonce on, and I was like, well, that sucks for whoever's doing the halftime show for the Super Bowl. No one's going to watch them.
Oh, speaking of naming, I don't know who's doing halftime show this year, but did you hear they named the who's going to host the Oscars?
No.
Conan O'Brien. And I know you love him.
Really? I got to tell you, that literally the world has gone to shit. Like,
I'm super excited.
Since the election, everything. I mean, come on. I'm just kidding, Conan. Give us a shout out while you're
I love Conan.
I'm talking to you, Conan. I'm talking directly to you. Give us a shout out. I actually do like Conan. I just think him going on stage during that thing was just really uncool.
Yeah.
That's all. That's all. What if he just popped like right behind me right now and took over? We get more listeners.
I welcome my new co-host.
Good thing.
What else?
Do you think maybe with the last minute and 15 seconds we have that I can talk about my week? I'm just kidding. What else do you got? Well, go on.
If you didn't interrupt me all the time, I'd have been done 10 minutes ago. I don't really have anything other than what we saw the Cher show earlier this week.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how much you want to talk about that. Speaking of things we were invited to that didn't live up to expectations.
You know, I'm going to say something that no one's ever heard me say before.
Sure.
Because we can talk about the Cher show right now.
Sure.
Number one, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
It certainly wasn't good. So I am a huge Cher fan, so maybe I just had high expectation for this show, but it was boring. It was like a Vegas show.
It wasn't even like a Vegas show. It was like an SNL skit about a Vegas show about Cher.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
You know, I will say this about Cher's music though. Good for her.
Damn good music.
Jesse James has been in my head since that. Just like Jesse James.
I'm familiar.
Was that not a very good? Was that not a good impression? That was my Cher. Her music is so good that I really enjoyed it. And I've seen Cher in Vegas. I got so lucky to see her in the front row. We did not have front row seats until we showed up, and some guy just walked up to us and was like, "How many of you There are 4 of you. He's like, well, we got 4 seats right up front. They saved the front row for her to give out to people.
Oh,
but
wow.
she didn't have anybody coming in. And so the guy was like, hey, why don't you guys come? So I sat front row. I didn't even have a ticket to that show until an hour before everybody went. Because they were like, hey, we have this extra ticket. Do you want to come? And I'm like, all right. And then I sat front row. Crazy. She's great. It was great. It was a spectacle. It was wonderful.
I saw her when she was here in Orlando a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah?
I got to go take photos and cover the concert.
Good show, right?
Good show.
Good show.
She's a damn fine entertainer.
So in this one, I think that
Not so much her show.
The issue
Cher
for this
show.
one, and I didn't write her name down because I didn't want to say anything bad about someone specifically in so pointedly. But the lead Cher, we'll just call it a lead Cher, like the present day aged Cher, in the show was just too much of a caricature, too much of a like I'm gonna put my mouth to the side and pretend I'm Cher and hold it.
Yeah.
There. So it was weird. But I will say that Ella Perez, who plays the young Cher, because the whole show it's like there's young Cher, then there's Sunny Cher, and then there's
Superstar Cher.
Cher, and they tell the story of Cher's life. And that Ella Perez, who played young Cher, she has a spectacular voice, and she was good.
Terrible bangs, though.
Terrible bangs. She also
Horrible
looked like
bangs.
somebody who should play. You know what she looked like? Why does everyone remind me of a drag queen from The Birdcage? She looked like Callista Flockhart's drag queen at the end of The Birdcage.
Mm.
But she also looked like she could star in Wednesday. But it was really good. I will point out the highlight. Shall we talk about the highlight of the show? Wait.
Lower your script. You're blocking your
I know. I was like, I'm trying not to kick my camera anymore or knock my microphone out of place.
We won't use that clip.
I don't want the video to shut down. You could just say "Okay, Boomer" and then show me flipping around to it. Which, by the way, it's a thing that people like to say "Okay, Boomer" to people that are Gen X. And somebody on a TV show that I watched while I was at lunch was like, why does everybody forget about Gen X? Which is funny because that's a whole thing. So the highlight of the whole show, do you know what it is? The highlight of the whole show?
Of the Cher show?
Yeah, I
the
think
Bob Mackie one part.
Hans Mew.
Actually, it was during the Bob Mackie one.
His name is Hans Mew. He's got a Heath Ledger vibe.
Yeah.
Nice cakes.
Ooh,
I think the kids know what that means, right?
Everybody knows that Bob Mackie did all the costumes for Cher, and they have a song a Bob Mackie song where they're showing all the costumes, and it's all females wearing them except for this one guy who's wearing a very skimpy Cher costume.
Hans Mew.
Hans, and
I almost sent you the link to his dance reel today because I went to his website. And
I thought you were going to say a link to his OnlyFans.
Doesn't he remind you of that trainer that you used to see?
Yes.
Yeah. Me too.
What's he up to? I miss him.
He's getting bulky. He's like a competitive bodybuilder now.
Oh. I have to look into him. See what he's up to.
So yeah, this guy he's in this Cher. He's in this Cher outfit.
Yeah.
And
it's a thong. Out. God, that was also
good-looking
young
gentleman.
Sonny took his shirt off. I don't remember young Sonny Bono having abs, and this Sonny had abs. I did appreciate the abs.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. The
Best
Sonny
part of the
character
show
bothered me.
Which one?
The Sonny character.
Sonny in general, God rest his soul, bothered me.
There were a lot of choices made in the show that I just didn't quite grasp. I would ask your opinion of this one thing, but it might have been when you went to the restroom.
I spent a long time in the restroom in the second half.
But there's this scene towards the end, and I don't know if
those fruits aren't going to slice themselves.
There are times I'm like, oh, I'm going to get to the restroom. I'll be back in 30 minutes later. Dylan's like, you okay in there? Yeah, just tune blasting.
That could be taken a couple of ways in the bathroom.
So there's this scene, and I don't know if this is an iconic moment from Cher's life, or is there a video in the 80s that she did where it's where this happens? But all of the dancers come out and they're wearing tight muscle shirts and tight shorts, and they're wearing boxing gloves, and they're doing the weirdest, lamest choreography. And I just thought, like, what is happening here? But that was weird. In the second act, where she has this new boyfriend after she and Sonny break up, like his pork chops were very weird and fake. It just seemed like it was sort of low budget at moments. I don't know. It was very odd. But if you're a fan of Cher, then you're gonna love this show, and you should go. There was somebody there that writes for us that has seen the show 3 times. And I saw it that one time, and I thought, I don't think I need to see it 3 times. I mean, I'd buy the soundtrack and listen to it.
3 times. I'd buy the actual... I mean, I'll listen to the actual Cher sing the actual songs.
I mean, I'm not mad at all that I went. Like I said, it wasn't bad. It just was...
I mean, it got me out of the house for the evening.
Oh, my God. And we had the best seats.
Oh, good seats.
They were the best that
so
we've ever had. I mean, when you look at your ticket
right in
and you're
front
in
of a
row
speaker.
B... Hello. Yeah, and it's right in front of the speaker for a show like this. That's good.
Yeah.
So it's good. So anyway, it's not playing anymore at Dr. Phillips.
No, but it is coming to Straz.
It will be at Straz January 14th to the 19th. So if you like Cher music and you don't mind an okay
a little
production,
cheese,
lots of cheese,
little canned cheese.
It's sponsored by Velveeta.
Cheese spread.
Ooh, Cheese Whiz.
Cheese Whiz.
Processed cheese food is good. I don't care what anybody has to say.
It makes the best mac and cheese.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It also is just delicious.
It also makes a block of Velveeta and a can of Rotel.
Delicious.
So good.
Oh, my God. I can't tell you how many blocks of Velveeta with Rotel tomatoes got me through a hangover.
Back when I was in my first long-term relationship, when we were like, let's just stay in. We'd go to Blockbusters, rent a movie, stop by the store, get a block of Velveeta and a can of Rotel. We couldn't be bothered for 3 days.
Couldn't bottom for 3 days either.
Oh no, the cheese! Cheese will keep you strong down there.
That counteracted the 30 beers a night I had. So it was nice.
Oh,
it was a nice balance.
I'm not a beer drinker.
It was a balanced diet.
Yeah,
I liked it. Anyway,
but yeah, when Jeff was when it was his night to cook, that's what he'd get a block of Velveeta and some Rotel, heat it up, and that was cooking. It's good though. I like it.
Yeah.
What else did you do this week?
Oh, it was kind of a busy week. I've described to you the saga of the unhoused.
The saga of the unhoused?
Of the unhoused people that are squatting in the backyard of the abandoned house behind us.
Yes.
So, and I think I said this on the podcast last time that they come in and out of the backyard there through our front yard.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just sort of like, it catches us off guard because we go there at night and we're getting out of our car and then all of a sudden there's someone 2 feet away from you in your driveway. It's unnerving. So we decided that we're gonna fence that off. So that yellow like plastic fencing thing that they get to temporarily
like the netting kind of thing. Yeah.
So we got that. We put it up and we staple gunned it all over the trees there so that they would not come in, but somebody came through and just kicked it out and walked through. Not cool, right? So then we decided that we're going to like vinyl fence it off, like just a 4-foot high one. And we're gonna vinyl fence it off. In researching this, right? Because we're like, it's thousands of dollars to get a fence put in, and right now it's way difficult to find a fencing company in St. Pete that'll come and do it because
they're busy with the hurricane work. Yeah.
And so we started looking into whether we could just do it ourselves or whether it had to be permitted. And I think in Central Florida, Orange County, I think you have to have permits. But we started reading the paperwork from the fence we had put in our backyard, and it says no permit needed. And so then we looked it up, and it doesn't need a permit. You just have to follow the rules. So we're like, oh, well, let's see where our property line is. So we grabbed the survey from when we bought the house. And it turns out that from our backyard fence, that our property line actually goes 9 feet into that backyard.
Oh, wow.
So technically, they're living on our property. Or like they're squatting on our property. And so we can move the fence 9 feet. So I don't know if we should. That's the debate we're having. Like, should we do it? Because we were just talking about the front yard, but now we see that the backyard goes 9 feet. The problem is just like our property line has probably like 10 trees on it. Mm-hmm. And so like if we went 9 feet, like in order to go on the other side of the tree, we'd probably have to go like 9 feet 3 inches.
Oh, I got you.
So it's onto someone else's property, or we come on this side of the tree,
and you lose your tree.
well, technically we don't have it right now. So anyway, so that's an interesting thing that we found out, and we're like, should we go tell them, like, hey, we're gonna move the fence, just to let you know. Either way, it's just like I feel like things are about to start getting
ugly.
Yeah. Because like obviously they're not gonna like that.
Yeah. Well, you're encroaching into their living quarters.
Are we encroaching into their living quarters, or are they?
I mean, how long have they been squatting there?
It's been and this is the thing too, right? Because we didn't when it was like one person, she was very nice, and we're like, hey, this is fine. But now it's turned into an ordeal. I mean, now it's many people. It's like 1 a.m. parties with blaring music and throwing trash into our yard and all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of gotten out of hand. But anyway. We'll figure it out. I'll keep you updated.
Could you wait till we all go to the holiday party before you start the chaos?
Well, I'm kind of wondering too, like, do I say something to just say, like, listen, on this one night, do not walk through our front yard. On this one night, do not
Could you not throw shit bags past us? We're having a party.
don't throw. Yeah. If you do, put some cinnamon sticks in there so it smells Christmassy.
Festive.
Theme it, please. If you're gonna hurl shit at me, please have it themed. All right. So anyway, we did that. Yeah, we figured that out. But I went on Saturday. So you and I talked about this last time. We went to the press preview for the Walt Disney World Swan and Dolphin Resort Food and Wine Festival, the 15th annual.
The Food and Wine Classic.
Food and Wine Classic. Well, they gave us tickets to go to the whole classic, and I went. Now, you weren't available to go because you were out of town.
Yeah.
And
ended up not going out of town. But yeah, I had plans to go out of town.
Okay. And the thing is it's a food festival, and everyone I know is on Ozempic.
Yes.
I mean, it's not to say like there's a lot of people on Ozempic. I just don't hang out with a lot of people. But there's one person I know who's on Ozempic who will eat as much as he can if he can. Like, I mean, he's not going to say, "Oh, I can't eat that," or he's just going to eat until he can't eat anymore.
He just suffered through the cramps.
He just suffered through the cramps. So he went with me, and I got to say, like, my memory of this from last year was like it's the most amazing food festival I've ever been to.
Yeah.
And so this year I was talking it up a lot. Like, hey, this is going to be amazing, and we're going to have a great time. And it is, and we did. A lot of the foods were the same, but there were some key standout things. There was one disappointment, so I'm going to get the disappointment out of the way because I want everybody at the Food and Wine Classic to know it is amazing, and I love it, and I highly recommend that people go. I'll always recommend it. It's like $195 a ticket, but it is well worth it. Here's the disappointment. Remember Smokey D's and that bacon?
Yeah.
So I talked that shit up for days to my friend.
Good bacon.
Talked it up for days. So I'm like, we had gone through some booths and stuff like that, and then we would just need a water. Water was tough to find. You had like it was alcohol everywhere, but water tough to find. So we had to. Somebody's like, "Oh, it's over there by the barbecue," and I was like, "Oh, let's go get it because that's right next."
That pond right over there,
like,
sir.
Let's go get the right. Drink it like the Swans do. So we walk over there. We get Smokey D's, and it's like they had this brisket thing, and it was delicious. But I was not. It was not what I was talking about. So I asked them. I was like, "What happened to the bacon thing that we had at the preview? It was so good." And they're like, "Oh, that was yesterday, but today we had brisket." And I was like, "It's good, but
it's not bacon good."
I'd rather have had the tickets to yesterday to get some of that bacon and talked it up. No, so I want to point out some things that I had. So I went to Carnival Corner. There's a place called Carnival Corner. That's where that mac and cheese thing was. It was just that, but there's a whole bunch of like carnival style foods and stuff like that were there. And that was the highlight. Carnival Corner was a highlight. I guess I'm white trash. I'm just going to say it. It was so good. They had this baked corn dog bite with hot honey, green onion, and potato sticks. It was like, so you think about a corn dog. It wasn't like battered. It was cornbread with a hot dog in it. And it was some good shit. So they also had that creamy Chipotle mac and cheese with smoked ham that we had.
Very nice.
And it holds true. No matter when or how much you have to eat or how much of that you eat, it sticks with you for days. But it's still yummy. The best thing on the menu was this potato dumpling with smoked onion dip and bacon. best thing. It was in the carnival corner. So those were all really good. Oh, they also had this miso butter tossed Brussels sprouts. So I want to say to everyone that I have judged in the past for liking Brussels sprouts.
Oh, that's right. You talk shit about people who eat Brussels sprouts.
I talk shit about all of you Brussels sprout loving morons. But here you go. I am now a Brussels sprout loving moron. I'm right there with you. So now I trust your judgment again. These were really good. But I did say at the time that Brussels sprouts aren't good. It's whatever you put on them. That still holds true. But I
think that goes for any vegetable.
Yeah, you can make them all really good. Chinatown was also another highlight. They had congee, is that how you say that? Vegetarian dumplings, which were really good, and something like shumain with braised tofu. There's a lot of vegetarian stuff going on in Chinatown, but that was some good stuff. Deconstructed Reuben will always get a shout out from me. I love it. There's only one thing. Honestly, I ate 99% of the food there. I was in pain for 2 days. And then I ate nothing but cabbage since then because it washes my body out and makes me happy. But the only thing I ate that I am sad that I put in my mouth was something called candied beets.
Oh, hate beets.
I mean, you eat a beet and you feel like you ate the earth. For hours, you feel like you ate the earth. But the dessert highlights, pistachio. So that pistachio raspberry mousse that we had at the thing, this one was a little more not in the sun. So it had set better and it was so delicious. And the banana creme brulee was really good. Delicious. Love being a part of it. Apologize to the drinkers out there. And all I can report on is the food festival, not the wine part of the festival. But it was good.
Nice.
That's my week.
Lovely. So let's talk about
something else that I did, but it doesn't matter because I watched a couple of shows. Let's get into that.
Let's get into that.
So we reported last week that we're going to watch this movie, Emily Perez.
Yes.
So we will talk about that, but we also like to talk about something else. So we're going to talk about one thing. And you had recommended that there's this show on Max that I am obsessed with, and it is called It's Florida, Man. And it is a weekly 30-minute episode, documentary style with recreations with celebrities and comedians. Yeah. Sort of like Drunk History, but they're not necessarily drunk. It's just Florida stories. Yeah, and it's a really good play on the Florida Man thing. So it's like it's Florida, man, but it's Florida Man. So it's some definite crazy shit about what comes out of Florida. Yeah, and it doesn't disappoint. I mean, the first episode, we're going to talk specifically about episode 4, Saucy. Yeah, right off the bat. Because it's a gay episode. But the first episode is what hooked me in. Right. Yeah, go ahead. Before you get into what it was about, the show starts off with this white guy with yellow teeth and long hair laying on a floor and roaches crawling around him. Yeah. And immediately I'm like, this is Florida Man. Yeah. So I was also very excited. From Central Florida too. The very first episode happens right here in Orlando, Florida. Right. Do you know what several of them do? Yeah. Like I was looking up information about, because we're going to talk about episode 4, and I was trying to find out like who was the cast of episode 4. Do you know that everybody has a different version of what episode 4 is? Like Reddit versus people on IMDb and whatever else. Like they're like somebody called the Mermaid episode 4. No, that was 3. Are they watching them in a weird order? I don't know. Do they have random select on their Max? They're wrong. They are. In fact, there's a number 4 next to the title Saucy if you pull it up on Max. And then I laughed when I realized it was called Saucy. But the first episode. So the first episode is here in Orlando. It's a gentleman who is trying to fly to Denver to see, because he's a big electric music fan. He loves EDC, and his friends are going to Denver. And he works at a theme park. Yeah, Disney. He doesn't have the money to go, so he's trying to find a way. And a good way to get money is to post up on Craigslist looking for money. Yeah, according to this guy. Yeah. Looking for money. I will do anything within reason.
And he gets hit back by this guy who wants him to come over to his house, cut off 3 of his toes, fry them up, and eat them.
Okay, so just to be clear, this guy wants this Walt Disney employee to come over, cut off the guy's toes, not the Disney's toes.
Cut off the guy's 3 toes. It's
cut
a fetish
off my
of his.
toes and eat them in front of me.
Eat my toes in front of me.
Yeah.
And the guy says, he goes, how much would you need in order to do that? And the guy says, $4,000. Or no, first he says $2,000. And he says, deal. And then he goes, actually, I need $4,000. He goes, okay.
I would have questions first. Are you going to freshly wash your feet before I have to eat them?
I mean, I do recommend you wash all your produce before you cook.
Do you get a pedicure before I eat it?
Ooh, you've got to remove the nails before you eat it.
How much nail are we talking about?
No, I cut the nail off before I cook it.
Do you eat the toe off the bone like a chicken wing?
Yeah, roll it around in some barbecue sauce.
Lots of questions. It affects the price.
Yeah. Now, we won't go into detail of this episode. I want you all to check it out.
Toes are like Brussels sprouts, though.
Are they?
Yeah, because I've
never eaten toes, but I don't think they are.
Because whatever you put on them is what makes them taste good.
That's true. It's like tofu. Tofu's that way. Takes the flavor of whatever.
Tofu.
That's why it's called.
It got tofu.
So check it out. It's a great show. New episodes every Friday night on Max and HBO. But the episode we're going to talk about is episode 4. The name of it is Saucy. And just to run through the cast of characters really quick, you have Denver, who is an older gay man in DeLand, Florida. He is played by John Grease.
From White Lotus.
Grace. White Lotus. He was also Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite, if you're a fan of Napoleon Dynamite. Derek, who is his love interest in this little story, who is played by Echo Kellum, who, if anybody's a fan of the Arrowverse on CW, he plays Mr. Terrific. He's
also in Grand Crew, right?
Grand Crew? I don't know what that is.
You know Grand Crew?
No.
Grand Crew is like it's I don't know if this is fair to say, but I call it like Black Friends, because it's like this group of black people that are all friends and they all hang out at wine bars and stuff together, and it gives me that like Friends vibes, but an all black cast. It is one of the best shows. And it's only 2 seasons, I think. Nicole Byer is in it.
Oh, I like Nicole Byer.
She's why I started watching this show. It is one of the best shows made, and for whatever reason, Peacock's like 2 seasons. That's it, no more.
Yeah,
the cast must have gotten too busy.
Streaming services, they for some reason when they do a show, they like to cap it off at a couple of seasons. They're like, oh, you like that? Yeah, we're gonna get rid of it now.
Great show, great cast. I love it, and I'm sure this guy. I think this guy that's in this plays Nicole Byer's brother in Grand Crew.
Oh, very. I'll
check it out. It's worth the 2 seasons.
Another character who will come into play, John Sally, who's played by Cameron Britton, who, if you watch The Umbrella Academy, he was on the first season. He played Hazel on the first season of that.
And if you're a Jonathan Groff fan and watch everything he does, this guy was a serial killer in the show Mindhunters.
Ooh, lovely. And then the last one I want to give a shout out is the judge, who is played by Sufay Bradshaw, who is Sue in Veep, one of the greatest shows ever made. I love that show so much, but Sue is fantastic in it. So set the scene. Denver, like I said, is from DeLand. He's an older gay gentleman. He lives out at the Empire, or what he calls the Empire, which is his, I believe, 80-foot by 17-foot double-wide trailer.
Now, they don't confirm this in the show. But I'm going to go on a limb and guess that those are dentures.
Oh, yeah, they have to be. Yeah. He definitely, I don't know if you know anybody who has dentures, but there's this little bit of a slur when they talk, when they have dentures in, and he definitely has that denture twang, we'll call it.
Well, I'm just going to say I wouldn't know anybody in his situation that have teeth like that.
Yeah.
So they got to be dentures.
His situation. I get what you're saying. I smell what you're putting down there.
Let's just say the one-armed man in episode 2 and this guy probably had a lot in common. Except
One Arm Man. Wasn't that episode 5?
I don't know.
I
only watched the first 4. and it's episode 4, depending on what website you go to.
So Denver meets Derek, who is originally from Daytona, on a dating site. They start hanging out. To give a little background on Derek, his profile, according to Denver, said BBC and looking. If you don't know what BBC is, Google it, kids. It's not for me to tell you.
And then Denver's like, I just want a friend. I just got out of a long relationship, and I just want a friend. Yeah, you don't answer BBC if you're looking for a friend.
So just to kind of tell you what kind of relationship these two have, their first date was at the Waffle House.
May I please quote?
You may, yes.
Let me see if I can find this. Here's the quote from Denver. I wanted to impress him and take him to a Waffle House.
Yeah.
It's his favorite restaurant.
So, I mean, when you start at Waffle House, second date has got to be...
Scattered, smothered, stacked, diced, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. They have the best hash browns.
So the second date, he wants to take it a step up. You know, he started here with Waffle House. You got to go even higher. So he takes him to a nude beach for their second date. And we all know, being from Orlando, I'm pretty sure he took him to Playa Linda.
Didn't tell him.
No, didn't tell him it was a nude beach.
I did that to somebody once.
Did you?
I did.
Calm down, Denver.
Do you know what that person's name is?
Derek?
Jen.
Oh, no.
I took her to Playa Linda. Didn't tell her. And we're walking up. And the first thing is you're walking up to the nude section of the beach. There's a volleyball court. And there were naked people playing volleyball. And she's like, what? Is that a penis? Are these people naked? It was hilarious.
Now
we didn't get naked. I mean,
it's optional.
Yeah,
it's optional nude. But I've only been to one nude beach in my life, and it was when I was in the service. I was in Italy, and a bunch of us from the dorms found out there was a nude big beach in Italy, and we were like, "Ooh, let's go!" And the entire beach was old Italian men and women in like their 70s. So I haven't been to Playa Linda. Is it much like that, or do the hot people be like, I want to sunbathe naked. Let's go to Playa Linda.
The former.
Oh, no.
Except there is a gay section. And in that gay section, you'll find a lot of like the young bartenders, dancers, and...
Because they don't want tan lines.
Yeah. And so...
Okay.
You'll find
I'm still not going to go because... I am stupid when I'm around a bunch of naked people. I'm giddy like a little child. Like, penises.
50 pounds ago, I was ready to go to Playa Linda dressed like Marlon Brando in the island of Dr. Moreau. And set up shop and just watch.
Yikes.
No, just kidding. Did you ever see that episode of Modern Family where Cam looks like the Island of Dr. Moreau guy? It's
no,
hilarious.
I don't recall that one.
It's the one where they're on the boat. It's like the last season, I think. Hilarious.
So they're out at the nude beach, and obviously Denver is an old perverted gay guy. So he's like, it's nude beach. Take shorts off. Let's see what you're working with. And he's like taking photos and stuff of them.
Well, and the funny thing too is that he's eating a hot dog. He's eating like a pig in a blanket or something. No, he's eating a hot dog.
Yeah, he's eating a hot dog.
Staring at this guy eating a hot dog, talking about his BBC. And it's hilarious. The whole hot dog thing cracked me up.
So we meet Sheena, who is Derek's sister, and the real one. Like there's no actress who plays her sister, but they talk to her as part of the documentary part. And she
just want to say she lives in a really nice place.
Yeah, there's a fallout between her brother, and she was like, "No, you cannot live with me."
Why is she not helping her brother out?
Yeah, something happened, and she's like, "Listen, I love you. You cannot live with me."
Right. Because she got a nice place, and he's living in a tent.
Although, her place has 2 front doors. I didn't know. She's sitting on the couch.
Oh, really?
And there's a door here, and a door here, and 2 windows here. And you can see, because they got windows on the door, they both lead outside.
Maybe maybe she bought a duplex and turned it into one home.
Oh, sort of like our old office. Yeah. That makes sense. We had that kind of thing with the 2 front doors. Anyway, it kept weirding me out because I was like, why do you have 2 front doors, lady? So they asked her if Denver and Derek were like in love and were a happy couple. And her response was, I don't know what my brother saw in this guy. This was an old as shit guy. He's got to have money.
And then it cuts to Derek, and Derek goes, yeah, it was the money.
Yeah, he had money.
But here's the thing, too. It's like, he says, whenever you needed something, Denver gave it to you.
Yeah.
Whether it was cars or whatever you needed.
Affection,
And then
love.
I was like, what kind of cars are you getting from this man? Like, how much money did the guy have? And what was he spending it on? Because it wasn't anything that we could see.
Yeah, he's like, he had money.
It wasn't on dinner.
I mean, he had Waffle House money. Let's be clear. He had money, but he had Waffle House money.
What did he say? He bought his trailer for $2,500?
Yeah.
Or was it $25,000? It was $2,500.
No. It was 25. It was a real low amount.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But watch that John Oliver episode about those. Like, he's paying a lot of money to park that thing.
Yeah. Unless he already owns the land. Maybe it's from his mama and his pappy.
I don't know. It's hard to own the land in a place like in a trailer park.
Did he live in it? Oh, in the recreations, he did live in a trailer park, didn't he? So we learned that Denver used to be homeless. So because he know what it's like, he likes to help out homeless folks and give them a place to stay. So Derek moves in.
Denver, Derek, if you got some room for 4 or 5, I know a few.
So Derek moves in, gets a job at the Red Lobster, stepping up. That's a step up from the Waffle House.
Yeah.
And while he's working at the Red Lobster, he meets John Sally. John Sally.
Oh, I didn't catch his last name, and I wanted to look him up.
It's Sally.
I think I know John Sally.
Do you?
I know that face is familiar.
Well, John Sally works at Red Lobster too, and him and Derek start up a secret relationship.
Dun, dun, dun.
Denver don't know about this relationship, and Denver, and I'm quoting Denver, not me, so if you get mad, send your letters to Denver, he don't like no cross-dressers.
Remember that phrase.
Remember that phrase.
That phrase. Because of that phrase, it's why everything goes south.
Yeah.
He doesn't care that Derek is sleeping with someone else.
No. He cares that he is a drag queen.
And he doesn't care that it's a drag queen. He cares that the drag queen was brought into his house.
Oh, that's right. You brought a cross-dresser into my house.
Yeah.
So this, of course, leads to Denver and Derek fighting over John Sally and over Derek not showing Denver affection. So one fight gets a little out of hand, and Denver takes a meal that Derek had cooked and throws it in the garbage. So in retaliation, Derek takes Denver's, and I wrote it down at as he said them, 12 good cold long neck Budweisers, and poured them into the trash. This upset Denver, so he called the cops.
I want to point out something I really appreciate about this series is it reminds me of the way a certain writer who used to write for us writes. Yeah. Like, because what it'll happen is somebody will say something like he poured 12 cold long neck Budweisers down the drain, and then it'll cut to the reenactment, and then the character playing the person will say, "You're pouring 12 long neck cold Budweisers down the drain." So they repeat what the person said, and it cracks me up.
So he called the cops on him, and the cops basically said, "You two just go to separate rooms. Stop acting like children. This isn't a crime. You just whiny kids." So it's just going back and forth. They're fighting a lot. Derek pours sugar into Denver's gas tank. Dude, you use that car. So what are you doing?
Yeah, he's got some.
Just shooting yourself in the foot,
kiddo. You got some issues.
Denver gets mad, so he tries to hit Derek with a lamp, but the lamp's too heavy, so it's one of the floor lamps, so he falls over,
and then he asks Derek for help to get the lamp off of him.
So Derek's just had it. He's fed up. So
can I point one other thing out too?
Yes.
And 800 other interruptions. Do you notice every time Derek makes dinner that it's spaghetti?
He does love making spaghetti.
Every time he's making food, it's spaghetti.
Now, I don't know if he just loves spaghetti or to tie into what's about to happen. Maybe in the recreations and at the end of this episode, they're like, "Hey, would you make some spaghetti? And we'll just like B-roll. make some spaghetti and we'll just record it. And they're like, okay.
I feel like he always.
But
just
I think
makes
he
spaghetti.
that's probably the only thing he knows how to make. So
Waffle House made it better.
he sure did. They sure did. So Derek is hanging out with John Sally. Denver is at work, and Derek decides he's going to teach Denver a lesson. So they're going to go over to Denver's trailer, and he's going to break in, and he's going to steal some shit. So before he does that, he has to get into his crime fighting
Well,
outfit.
you need a very stealthy disguise.
So he pulls
Was it a
out.
ninja?
No, it's a onesie. It's a bull onesie.
Like Bullwinkle.
Like a bull,
it's
like
got
a cartoon
antlers.
bull, and it's got a hoodie, and it's a onesie that you zip up. So here they are driving in John Sally's beat up, busted old Buick. It looked like John Sally in his long blonde wig, and Derek in his bull onesie, and they get there, and he has a key. So I mean, he breaks in by unlocking the door. But he did not anticipate Denver had a camera installed inside the house. So John Sally's like, no, there's a camera. I can't do this. So he leaves. Derek decides to dance in front of the camera to show Denver that he is there, and he's not playing around.
But the good thing is his disguise is so stealthy.
Yeah.
That
it's just a bull.
Even though Denver can see what's happening, he can't tell who it is.
Yeah, he just sees a bull dancing in his living room.
Now, we should point out that it is Derek's goal, he says, in going in here.
Yes.
He is, I'm going to burn this trailer down and send him back to Kentucky.
Yes,
that
is his goal. So before he does, he steals the three most important things in Denver's life. He steals the TV, he steals the air conditioner, and he steals the vacuum cleaner. And he puts them in the car. And then he's like, I've always heard that if you mix hot water with hot oil, it'll explode.
Yeah, I mean, you think of ways you can burn something down, right? Like light a match on a newspaper. Pour gasoline on something and light that up.
Yep.
Cologne, anything that's flammable.
Hairspray.
Or you can do this.
You can put 2 pots on the stove. In one pot, you pour cooking oil. In the other pot, you put some sort of liquid. Now, you go for the closest liquid to you. Sure, there's a sink there. You could use water, but no. It's a giant jar of ragu. So he's going to use ragu. So he pours the ragu into the other pot.
Yeah. Now you've got now you've got the two elements that will start the biggest fire of all time. You've got a pot of water and a pot of ragu next to each other.
A pot of oil.
A pot of oil, right? A pot of oil and a pot of ragu.
But
next
how
to
do you mix
them? How
them?
do you get them together? That's the question.
So
guess what? Derek, the onesied,
the bull onesie, evil genius.
He's got the way to do it.
He takes a rag. He sticks one end in the oil, and he sticks the other end in the sauce. Bada bing, bada boom. The oil will absorb into the rag slowly at first, then eventually make its way into the ragu, and then boom! Fire explodes in the empire. So he rushes out, sits in the car with John Sally.
I don't understand how that's going to connect them.
I don't know. I didn't go to the same school Derek did. He's smarter than all of us. So he's sitting there.
You know what Derek's going to listen
rubbing
to
his
this.
hooves together.
He's going to be like, y'all making fun of me? We're going to come into work tomorrow morning and there's going to be a pot of oil and a pot of ragu on the front desk with a rag in them.
So he's sitting there waiting for it to explode and nothing happens. He's like, all right, John Sally, let's just go. So they leave. Now, what he didn't know is that the camera sends a signal to Denver's phone saying someone is in your house.
Now we know where all his money went.
So, yeah, to a fancy security camera.
Yeah.
So he calls the cops and says, someone's in my house. So the cops go over there. They come busting in.
Sounds like.
It's smoking. They see a pot of ragu. They see a pot of oil with a rag connecting them. Nothing's exploding.
I mean, for all of our making fun of Derek, and I mean, it was smoking.
It was getting there.
Eventually, it was going to catch on fire.
It was getting there. So the cops are to turn the stoves off. They're investigating. Meanwhile, John, Sally, and Derek are down the road, and Derek says, we need to turn around. I forgot my cigarettes at the trailer. And John, Sally's like, I'll buy you another pack of cigarettes. He says, no, he'll know it was me because of the cigarettes. Not because I'm dancing in a bull costume in front of the camera, but because my cigarettes are there. So they turn around, and they pull up just as the cops are coming out of the trailer, and they say, gentlemen, what are you doing? And they pull him out of the car. Denver pulls up, and he puts 2 and 2 together, and he's like, I want them prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So they arrest them, and the detective, such a good detective, investigates the car. And this is the smoking gun. They took the empty ragu jar with them, and it's sitting on the seat along with the TV, the AC, and the vacuum cleaner. Case closed.
I mean, your fingerprints are on it. You don't want to leave them. Or your
It's
paw
true.
prints or whatever.
Hooves. He had his hooves all in that sauce.
Yeah, you can't just leave it.
So,
don't go back, by the way. If you commit a crime,
never go back.
Here's my advice to you. If you
Let the
commit a
cigarettes
crime,
go.
give it 24 hours before you go back. It is I know someone else who committed a crime and then went back to the house because they left something and the cops were there and arrested them. So let that be a lesson.
Yeah.
Let the cops do their investigation and leave, and then go get your cigarettes.
Yeah, because I'll tell you what, the cops aren't going to be investigating, see that pack of cigarettes, see Denver, and think, well, that man doesn't smoke. Where did those cigarettes come
That's
from?
like one look at those pearly white dentures and say, that's not a smoker. So this must belong. And by the way, I expected those cigarettes to be Virginia Slims.
Oh, absolutely.
I did not recognize the brand, but either that or Benson Hedges Menthol Light 100s.
Yeah. So it goes to trial. It goes to trial, and they let John Sally off because, only circumstantial evidence. He didn't know that they were breaking in. He just thought they were going, and Derek was getting stuff of his from the trailer.
Listen, I'll tell you this thing. As nice of a man as Denver has been to people, I think no charges to the drag queen was a step too far.
Yeah. I mean, that crossdresser was in his house.
And now not going to suffer anything
Now you
at all?
won't pay for that? So he finds out not only will John Sally get nothing, but Derek is going to get 15 years in prison. So Denver just can't let that stand. So he stands and he says, I'd like to drop the charges. And basically stops cooperating with the state. So the judge is questioning, well, why did you call the cops? Because he had a crossdresser in my house. Why did you want to press charges? Because, ma'am, he had a crossdresser in my house. So she tells Derek, you should get down and kiss the ground that this man walks on because he just saved your life from going to prison. And apparently in her court, they now refer to that as the drag queen defense.
Yeah. She has coined this, the drag queen defense.
So Derek and Denver make up. Derek didn't move back into the trailer because that's just a step too far.
Oh, because he's homeless now.
He's homeless now.
And we all know that Denver
loves taking in homeless folk.
Homeless folks, so he takes in Derek.
But he doesn't let him live in the trailer.
No.
He lives in a tent behind the trailer.
And makes spaghetti
And
dinner.
makes him spaghetti. His sister did.
What does he call it?
Sketty.
Sketty.
Yeah. Makes him sketty.
That's what Denver calls it.
Now, in the process, they're living out
So
there. They're talking to
adorable.
the sister, and she's like, "Yeah, they're still friends." And Denver would give him the shirt off his back and do anything he could for him. And then she paused, and said, "Did Derek tell you that he shot him in the face with a pellet gun?" End of the show. I'm done with these people.
Yeah, this happened after
everything. He shot him in the face with a pellet gun.
Now, but then here's how it went down. Denver, I guess, was locked out of the trailer. I don't know.
So he was coming to the tent to visit or something.
Oh, he's coming to the tent, and he didn't
trying to catch a look.
He didn't recognize him, and he didn't say anything. And he's like, "I've got a gun, so identify yourself, or I'm going to shoot you." And then Denver's like, "Well, I wouldn't call no pellet gun a gun." Well, he's like, well, it got you down.
I can't tell if I am thoroughly entertained by these two or annoyed by these two.
I know, I am 100% certain that I know 1 to 2 of the people involved in this story. I can't remember how because I used to drink a lot. But
anyway,
when did this take place? What year? It was a long time ago.
I mean, he had a security camera that went to his phone, so it couldn't have been that long
that's
ago.
True.
Let's see. When
But also it had to be long enough ago because the young Derek didn't look like current Derek. Like they showed photos of him and he was young and not.
Yeah, I don't know when 2018.
What?
It was 2018.
What? It's only
been 6 years.
How many drugs has he done since 2018? I mean, he looks.
Yeah, March 2018.
They show photos of him from 2018, and he's a young, nice-looking guy. He looks like I would have sworn this was like 20 years ago. Holy shit.
Yeah, 2018. Men use spaghetti sauce to try to start fire after burglary.
To quote a counselor in South Park, drugs are bad.
Okay.
I just can't with this show.
So,
I can't.
New episodes Friday. They're 5 episodes in, 6 episodes in, something like that. So check it out if you got Max. Particularly if you live in Florida, because it just makes you so proud of your state.
I don't know. I gotta tell you, I don't recommend watching it. I'm gonna give this 1 grape seed. It's just a seed.
No, I give this 2 grapes. I love this show.
It is as frustrating to watch this show as it is to watch election results because
it's so stupid.
Because logic does not win.
No.
And like you watch evil like win and it's so awful. Like the mermaid one's the worst for that. Like the mermaid one is like I get so angry.
We won't go into that, but that one involves mermaids, witches, corrupt police officers, blood sacrifice rituals. Check it out. It has everything.
And the one in Bradenton, holy shit. What is like the people, the faces, what is wrong? Like, do you know what I'm talking? Like the people that they interviewed in the front that were talking about the story, and then the one guy, he legit looked like Sloth from Goonies. Like, seriously. I don't understand. Anyway,
it's a fantastic show. Check it out.
So you know what? We picked that because that had that gay episode. So we picked that gay episode over the overtly gay episode of Brilliant Minds, which will never be something I understand. But like, are you watching that?
It's on my list.
I'm gonna tell y'all. As much as episode 4. No. I'm talking The Last of Us. What's the episode 3?
What?
The gay episode from The Last of Us.
Episode 3.
Episode 3 of The Last of Us. As good as that is, that is a long. I mean, obviously that's way better than what I'm about to tell you. But episode 7 of Brilliant Minds is like the overtly gay episode of this show. Zachary Quinto plays a gay character, but they kind of avoid the gay storyline, like getting deep into it until episode 7, and it is fantastic. So I highly recommend that people watch that, which maybe we'll talk about sometime, so I won't get into it, but someday.
I'll watch it over my next holiday break.
It's tough to get into. The first 4 or so episodes aren't really that great, and it's kind of like this cheesiness, but when it starts getting good, it starts getting good.
All right.
So anyway, the other thing that we decided to watch was the new Netflix movie, Emily Perez.
Yes. It is. It's getting a lot of critical acclaim. It's expected to get a lot of award show attention coming up with the Golden Globes and the Oscars and the SAGs. But it is a crime musical drama.
Did you know that I read one of the reviews, because I like to read the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes to understand why it has the numbers that it has. But one person said that the show was listed as a musical comedy.
Musical comedy?
And they were like, there wasn't anything funny about it. And I said, that doesn't matter. It can be what it wants to be.
Now, with the listing, when there's
defense,
when there's musical comedy listings, it's not that they're a comedy.
It's just
particularly
listed
when it
in
comes
musical
to
and comedy.
when for awards categories, musical and comedies are always lumped together into one category.
Yeah.
So that's what it might be. There is nothing comedy
It is not
about
comical.
this, but it is a straight up musical. And I know a lot, like the other big musical this year that people were talking about was the Joker, Folio Do. And one of the biggest complaints was it felt like a musical that didn't want to be a musical. Like they were just like, oh, we're going to sing a song. Okay. This fully leans in. It is a full on musical and it is not apologetic about it.
And it's not like a traditional musical.
No.
It's and it's interesting because it's not. It's just it's weird because it's like a movie musical. Like it was it's a musical made to be a movie musical. Like it wasn't staged. It's not.
Yeah, it's not an adaptation of a stage musical.
It doesn't pretend to be a stage musical, and it's not traditional. It's very interesting. The music styling isn't like a traditional musical styling of thing.
Yeah.
But it stars Zoe Saldana.
Yes.
From Guardians of the Galaxy fame and everything else that she's in.
Yeah, Avatar and
I had to stop the movie and look it up after the first song that she sings because I was like, first of all, is she really singing? I had to look this up. I was like, is she really singing? And did we know that she was a singer?
She did. She played Nina Simone in a movie not too long ago, and I believe she did her own singing in that movie.
What I read when I looked that up, though, was like for this, she went through intense vocal training. For this.
She's like she belts him out in this. So I don't know if she sang at that skill level. But
and might I just say that she sings at that skill level in this. I was mesmerized by her.
Yeah,
by her
she was
acting.
my favorite part of this movie.
Oh, she's also in The Lioness. I don't know if you watched that, but come on. It's military, like a military woman that's kicking ass all over the world. It's right up my alley. So she's in The Lioness. I haven't watched the second season, but the first one was great. She's just a badass in this. She's one of several actresses that I think that their acting range is incredible. There's another one in this movie that falls into that category, but so she's really good and she can sing. Like it wasn't like my style of music that I would care about, but then when she started belting out those notes, I was like, oh my God. So good for her. Yeah. So she stars in this. It also stars Selena Gomez.
Yep, Selena Gomez.
Who I will point out 100%. If you watch this movie and you aren't mesmerized by her range as an actress, from Wizards of Waverly Place to Only Murders in the Building to this movie, then you're not paying attention. Yeah, she's incredible.
And this is very different than any role I've ever seen her in.
She was really good in this. And then the other like lead is Carla Sofia Gascon, who I don't know from anywhere.
I don't know if she hasn't been in anything like mainstream that I am aware of.
She's in a lot of Spanish movies.
Yeah. So that's the three main characters. When my brother came in as I was watching this, and it was in the middle of one of the musical numbers, and he was like, "What are you watching?" So I gave him a brief description of what I was watching, and this is what he gave, the feedback I got from him. You've seen the movie Sicario, right?
Yes.
He says...
I saw one of them. I don't know
He says it sounds like Sicario meets Mrs. Doubtfire with music added in. And then I sat and thought about it. I was like, that's a very good description of this movie.
Well, I mean, in a joking way, but sure, it's like...
But it's a serious film. But
it's like... So the storyline is that there is this cartel leader who wants to transition.
Yes.
And so they hire a lawyer to help them, and that lawyer is the only one that knows this is happening.
Yes. So the lawyer is played by Zoe Saldana.
Gets all
her name's Rita.
And Carla Sofia Gascon plays the cartel leader.
Manitas, who transitions to Emilia Perez.
Does she play both?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is transitioning from Manitas into
Emilia Perez.
And to help. So that's like the gist of it, right? Which is kind of crazy, like this like the notion that a cartel leader,
Yeah.
and because you're like, well, what's going to happen on the other side of this? Are they still going to, like, is she still going to run the cartel, or is she looking to change her whole life?
Yeah.
So but the idea is that she wants to change her life. And so what an interesting movie. I mean, there's so many subplots and there's so much that goes on in it.
It's like 6 different movies in this one movie. So Rita, who's played by Zoe Saldana, she goes about trying to find a doctor who will do the gender reassignment surgery for Emilia Perez. And she starts in Bangkok, and then they do a really weird song where, I mean, it's like, there's like full on dance numbers. And I wrote down one of the lyrics because 99% of this movie is in Spanish. But when she goes to Tel Aviv and she goes to Bangkok, or when she's talking in London, there's some scenes where they're speaking English. So this song is in English. And one of the lines for this song, when they're in Bangkok, they're dancing with stretchers. And it says, men to women, women to men, penis to vagina.
Yeah, and then they sing in a high-pitched voice, vagioplasty, rhinoplasty, and they're just naming,
and
they're just singing it over and over
but
again.
But it's
in a
very,
voice.
I mean, I was humming that song, and I was
singing it out loud to Jen. Like every once in a while, I would just look at her and sing vaginoplasty, and it's catchy.
It is a very catchy song.
I do want to say this though before, because or is this right after this or something? Like they're asking her why she. Oh no! This is talking to the doctor when Zoe's trying to convince the doctor to.
This is when she goes to Tel Aviv. Because she starts in Bangkok, then she goes to Tel Aviv to speak with the doctor.
But she says this to the doctor. She says, "Change the body, change the soul, change the soul, change society." And I was like, "Oh, that's so."
That is one of my 2 favorite songs in this movie.
Yeah,
is when her and the doctor are singing. But he says, "I want to meet Emilia first. Before I agree to do anything." So they fly out to Mexico. He meets Manitas. And then in talking with them, he decides, okay, I'll do the surgery. So the plan is put into motion.
I like the doctor a lot.
Yeah.
The doctor, you get the sense that the doctor has seen some shit.
Yeah.
Because he is so calm.
Yeah, I mean, he gets a bag put on his head. He's flown out to Mexico, out into the middle of the desert. Yeah. And he's just so cool and calm the entire time. He's
asking the cartel to change the music because it sucks. And he's like, is this bag over my head necessary? And they're like, yes. And he's like, fine.
All right.
He's just like, whatever. I've seen worse. Like, what an interesting character.
Yeah. So while the doctor is meeting with Manitas, that's when we are introduced to Selena Gomez, who plays his wife, Jessie. And she comes in and she's questioning Rita about who are you and why are you here? And she's like, oh, I'm your husband's attorney. And she's like, well, what do you do? And then he comes out, or they come out, after the doctor has talked to them and agreed to do the surgery. And everything is basically put into motion. So he spends one last night with his kids and his wife, and then goes to have the surgery done. Jesse and the kids are relocated to Switzerland because Emilia tells them, your life is in danger because of the work I do. So it's just safer for you to be in Switzerland right now. And that's to get them out of the way and sets up money for them, sets up a lot of money for Rita, who is going to be set for the rest of her life. And then Emilia fakes her own death and leaves her entire life behind.
And I wrote this note down. The movie could end right here and be an incredible movie.
Yes.
Like they could have stopped right there and been just as amazing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like 6 different movies. Yeah. And every one of them are very good. So we fast forward 4 years. Jesse and the 2 kids are living in Switzerland, skiing and doing their life out there. And Rita is in London. And she's at a dinner with some they don't really specify. I think it's like a combination of friends and like work colleagues.
With a Temu Ed Sheeran.
So she's talking to this gentleman, and next to him is Emilia Perez. And
this is the first time you've seen Emilia.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen Emilia as Emilia. And she starts talking to oh, my computer's gonna die.
Do you want my...
Yeah, if I could borrow that. So she starts talking to Rita in Spanish. And she's like, "Oh, you're from where are you from?" And they find out that they're both from Mexico, from the same area, and so they start chatting, and Rita starts to realize that I think I know who you are, and she starts to get all panicky. So like the room darkens, and they start singing this song, and she's like, this isn't just by chance. Yeah. This isn't just a coincidence.
It's logical for her to think that Emilia has come to kill me because I'm the only person in the world that knows.
Yeah. It's time for you to tie up your loose ends kind of thing. Yeah. So she says, "You're right. This isn't by chance. I did seek you out because I miss my kids and I want you to help me get them back." So we go into like this second half of the movie where now Rita has to go to Switzerland, get Jesse and the kids, bring them back to Mexico, and bring them back to Emilia's house. But she's not ready to tell Jesse and the kids who she really is. So instead, she said she's a distant cousin. She's an aunt to the kids and a distant cousin of Manita's, and that he had told her that before he was killed, that when it was safe to bring my family back to Mexico, and that's what she's doing. I just saw a line that I wrote from the movie, but we're getting there. It makes me giggle. So they bring them to the house. They meet Emilia, and Emilia's like hugging on the kids to the point where Jesse like has to tell her, "Listen, you're their aunt. You're not their mother. Stop kissing on my kids." Not realizing she's kissing on them because they're her kids too. And this is the part of the movie when my brother says a lot like Mrs. Doubtfire, because we go into this where she's watching the kids and she's hanging out and taking care of the kids, but as the aunt and not the father.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she's the only one who knows she's the father.
Not a dancing vacuuming
scene.
No.
Yeah. No, vacuum was from the last thing we talked about. No, but in the aspect of I'm watching my kids, I know they're my kids, but they don't know that I'm their dad. So
except the one kid is like, you smell like dad. You smell like papa.
There's one scene when she comes in and tucks her son in.
That was kind of a touching song.
Yeah. And she's like, "You smell like my papa." And I was like, "Oh, that's so sweet." But Jessie gets settled into her room, and then she calls Gustavo. Gustavo is a gentleman whom she was seeing back that I guess she was cheating on her husband with. And this is the part that made me laugh because I wrote this line down. She texted him, "My pussy still hurts when I think of you." And I'm like, "Oh my, Selena."
That must be some good D energy.
I wonder if Steve Martin and Martin Short gave her that line and said, "Here's what you text to Gustavo."
Oh yeah, Steve Martin and Meryl Streep were on a date and Selena Gomez was the third wheel. And Meryl Streep said, "You want an Oscar? Here's what you
text."
Talk to him about your pussy.
So she's getting to get to know her kids again, and Rita is starting to become friends with Emilia, and Emilia's like, they're having a drink together one afternoon, and she's like, "I want you to move back here." She's like, "And do what?" And she goes, "Work for me." She's still, even though she left that whole life behind, she still feels like that. I mean, she's not in drugs, but she still feels like that cartel leader.
Well, and she's got millions and millions of dollars, and so she hires badass security people. Yeah. So she still has that air about her.
Yeah, she has that. Yeah, that I'm in charge kind of air about her. And while they're hanging out, a mother comes by and hands them a flyer. Her son's missing. So she's like, "Can you help me? If you hear anything, help me find my son," kind of thing. So Emilia says, "Hey, I need you to, we're going to help her find her kid, basically her missing kid, find out where he's at."
Emilia realizes that she is probably responsible for the death of this kid.
Yes.
And so she decides to give this woman closure. Yeah. She's going to talk to her captains who murdered this kid, find out where his body is, and give this woman closure.
Yeah. So she does that, and the mother finally gets to know what happened to her son, and Emilia uses this to start her new career, where she starts a nonprofit, and she's going to help Because there's tens of thousands, I think they say, of people who go missing in Mexico every year, and her job is going to be helping these families find closure.
Right, knowing they're all probably dead.
Yeah.
But just to give them closure, yeah.
So basically, she wants to start atoning for her past crimes. So she comes home one night of working the nonprofit, and has a drink with Jesse, and they just having like a girls talk, and Emilia's using this as a way to find out if Jesse cheated on her while they were together. And she says, I'm just curious, just girls having drinks and talking. Did you ever cheat on me? Do you have boyfriends? And she's like, yeah, I did cheat on my husband. And she goes, did you ever think of leaving him? And she's like, no. He would have, she said, he would have found us, cut us up, and fed us to the dogs. Yeah. And they cut to Emilia, and she has this almost smirk on her face, like, fuck yeah, I would have.
Yeah.
Like, that's who I was. So she's starting to, just kind of see what kind of life her wife has been leading, and just kind of figuring out, what they've been up to since she's been gone.
Well, and then she tries to put an end to it right there. Doesn't? Oh, no, not yet. No, never mind.
Not yet.
I figured, I was like, well, Gustavo's dead. I feel like she's going to track down Gustavo and kill him.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
This is the fundraiser scene where they go to the fundraiser. And this is one of the scenes where it's like, no matter how much good Emilia is trying to do, she's always got that air of, I'm the most important person. So like when she's getting ready to go out and talk the thing, and Rita's like, you look good. And or something, she's something to the fact, like, you look good and you're ready to go out there. And she said, thank you, and walks away. And Rita's like, how do I look, bitch? So she goes out there and she's, giving the speech. And then this is my favorite song of the whole thing. Zoe Saldana's character, Rita, starts singing.
Dancing on the table.
And she's dancing on the table, and she snatches off. There's this lady with like a blonde wig on. She snatches part of the wig and then like tangles it down at her coochie area. And it's just such a good song. I went back and re-listened to that song. It's such a good song. But she's so good.
It's called coochie area.
No. It might be. It's in Spanish. I don't know what the Spanish words mean. But she's basically singing about, give us your money and all that good
It's funny
jazz.
you say it's in Spanish. When the show started, like the preview, there was a lot of English. So when it started and there were subtitles, I turned them off, and then like 30 seconds later, I rewound the movie and turned them back on. I was like, I don't know what's happening.
So Emilia is in her office the next day, and she's with a woman who was looking for her boyfriend, and she's like, we found your boyfriend. And she's like, where is he? Can I see him? And she's like, he died. We have his body. And she's silent for a minute, and then she starts like that laugh crying thing that people do. And you're like, what's going on here? Your emotions are counteracting each other. So she finds out that her boyfriend used to beat and rape her, and that she's like, I'm finally free because he's dead. So Emilia hugs her and then says, can I see you again? And she's like, of course. And they start up a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on top of that, we got a nice little lesbian relationship in.
There you go.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I noticed in the scene and some establishing shot that they had those things like they have at Disney, the skyline things.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that in there? I thought, God, I won't ride those at Disney. For fuck's sake, I won't ride them there. I mean, Jesus. Those things
I don't
look
feel safe
so
in those.
unsafe.
Yeah.
Hell no.
So Emilia's having a good relationship, living her life. She's got her nonprofit. She's got a girlfriend. Life is good. She's got her kids there. And Jesse comes home, ready to fuck it all up. And she's like, I had a good time with Gustavo, and we're going to get married.
But why would she think any differently?
Right. Yeah. Your husband's dead.
Yeah.
You're loving this guy. You're having a good time. Your life is finally back on track.
And then Emilia gets all like, I'm sorry.
And she's like,
what are you going to do?
Where were the kids going to go? And she's like, the kids are going to live with me and my new husband.
Why wouldn't the kids go with their mother?
And she loses her shit. And she throws Jesse on the bed. And she's like, you will not take my children. And she's like, bitch, they ain't your kids? These are my kids.
Yeah.
So Emilia storms out. And sorry, my voice cracked.
I know, it's the exciting part of the movie.
This is where we get into the third movie.
Yeah.
Where it becomes like this action-packed
Lioness,
cartel.
Part 6, yeah.
So she calls Rita, and she's like, she's going to take my kids away. And she's also on the phone with Jesse. And she's like, why is this crazy lady saying they're her kids? They're my kids. And she's going back and forth on the phone. And it's a really cool song.
Oh, also, like right after she says, like now Gustavo gets his ass kicked.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Because she finds out who she's, Emilia finds out who Jesse's been sleeping with and they're going to get married to. And so she has people beat the shit out of Gustavo, give him $100,000 and
tell
say,
him to leave
get
town.
out of town.
So instead of leaving town,
he decides to do kind of the opposite.
Yeah. So Jesse packs up the kids and they leave. And Emilia's like, telling Rita, you need to help me find my kids. So Rita comes back to the nonprofit and Emilia's girlfriend is there. And she's like, oh, this is the first time we're meeting. I've heard so much about you. And they're having it's a good bonding moment. But then we get a call. Well, we get a call. Rita gets a call.
Somebody called you?
From Gustavo. And Gustavo says, we have your friend Emilia. We want $30 million. Oh, no, we don't find out $30 million yet.
But we missed we didn't talk about the part where like she's missing and never mind.
No, we get to that part.
Right
yeah.
now.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, because they can't find her, and then
I get excited. I don't know.
Oh, that's right. Because the cops come and say she's been kidnapped.
And
her
while the
driver
cops
has been
come,
shot, and she is missing. So they freak out.
Yeah, and while this is going on, a delivery boy shows up.
A little delivery boy with a little plastic bag sets it on her desk, and
like,
Rita sees that, so she goes in. She opens the bag, and it's 3 of Emilia's fingers. And then her phone rings.
From the nails and the nail polish that they were so.
So she answers it, and I didn't understand this part, but they were saying you understand because it's 3 fingers. I guess it's 10 million per finger they want.
Million
so
per finger.
She goes, you want $30 million? And he's like, yes. And you're going to bring it to us. So instead of Rita going to the cops saying, hey, these are Emilia's fingers, you need to help me get her back, she, after everybody leaves, calls up one of Emilia's captains.
From former captain?
I think one of her drug captains, and says, I need like 8 or 9 big guys with guns.
Yeah.
And she's like, we're going out tonight. And so they're driving out to the desert. There's 3 pickup trucks. Rita's in one. The cartel is in the other 2. And they're like on the radio. They're like, we're going to turn our headlights off. This is where we're going to turn off. We will be in the mountains watching you. They gave her a handgun. And they're like, we going to get her back. So she pulls up there. And
I just want to say that if I had to play poker with anybody in this game, I want to play poker against Rita.
Yeah.
I mean,
you mean with Rita?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'd make a lot of money because she definitely doesn't have a poker face.
Oh, yeah.
She tips her hand.
Yeah.
Like how
she wears her emotions on her sleeve. How
dumb. It's not even her emotions. So like all of the cartel's hiding around the house in the mountains to like get ready to storm in when the exchange happens. And Rita keeps looking over to where they are in the mountains. So, of course, the people looking at her see her looking into the mountains, so they look into the mountains, and guess what they see?
And Gustavo, he's got some night vision goggles on.
This ain't his first time.
No. But you can tell this is her first time. She doesn't know what she's doing. Yes. And I understand that. I probably wouldn't know what I was doing either. So they see them, and a gunfight ensues. They're shooting at each other. Rita's back behind the pickup truck with the bag of cash, and they're all shooting at each other. And then we cut inside, and Emilia's there, and Jesse's got her, like, holding her, and they're down on the ground. And Emilia uses this time to confess what happened and says, "I am your husband. I am." Starts talking about all these things
the
from
first time they met.
the first time they met, and from their wedding.
And then Jesse puts it together.
And then Jesse, oh my God, you were my husband. And just at that moment, Gustavo comes running, throws the back door open, grabs Emilia, and says, "Let's go," throws her in the trunk, and tells Jesse to get in the car. And they're driving off. And they're screaming and singing kind of thing.
This ending, it cracks
so
me
crazy.
up.
So
It's hilarious.
it kind of reminded me of that scene from Miss Saigon when she's fighting with Doi and she pulls out the gun and she's like, "No, I'm going to shoot you."
I know.
And she's got the gun pointed at him.
And then I, of course, am thinking Jesse's got a gun.
So they're fighting, and the car ends up rolling off a cliff.
Yeah, she was like, "What are we doing? My husband's in the trunk," and she's like, "Get it, pull over." So Gustavo like slams on the brakes, so Jesse hits the thing, and then they start fighting over the gun, and start shooting off, and then all of a sudden,
the car rolls off the cliff. And it does like 5 or 6 rolls.
And I thought...
And it's like, they could still be all right.
No. I said, ain't no way anybody survived that crash. And as soon as I say that...
Boom! The car explodes.
And I start cracking up.
All 3 of them burn up in a fire and die.
Well, that definitely nobody survived that.
I should have said at the beginning, spoiler alert if you haven't watched this movie yet. And so Rita comes back to the house and hugs the 2 boys and says... "Your mother was in a terrible accident. I'm going to take care of you now." And then it ends in a song. Roll the credits.
Yeah, I just wanted those kids are gonna need
traumatic. They're gonna need so much therapy, but they got the money to get good therapists.
That's true. How many grapes?
2.5. I really liked it. It started off, I was kind of like, I'm not gonna like this, but I really got into it, and I really liked this movie.
I watched the trailer before I watched the show, and I didn't say anything because I didn't want to discourage Jen, but I thought, oh, this is not going to be good, and I was not looking forward to it. But right away after that first song and how good Zoe was in it, and I thought, I'm really going to like this, and I really did. Now, I don't remember what I've given 3 grapes to, so I'm not going to give this 3, but I'm going to say it is a very strong 2.5.
Yeah.
And the women in this movie are
the 3
incredible.
Now here's because they're already for as far as Oscar talk, they're already talking Best Picture nomination, Best Director nomination, Best Actress for Carla Sofia Gascon, who will be the first time that a trans performer has ever been nominated. An open trans performer has been nominated for an acting category. And then Zoe Saldana is not only the front runner, but expected to win for Best Supporting Actress. And there's even talk of Selena Gomez getting a nomination as well. So I mean,
do believe Selena Gomez deserves it.
It's a tough year right now for particularly actress and supporting actress because there's so many good performances out there. But all 3 of them deserve nominations, and Zoe Saldana it absolutely deserves to win.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm so impressed by them.
Yeah,
I feel like they took a movie that clearly wasn't filmed with air conditioning. And
oh my God, the entire time I was watching it because they're in Mexico and they're running around, so everyone's sweaty, and I kept thinking, This is what Rick means about a sweaty movie.
Yeah, it is a sweaty movie. But I was comfortable the whole time.
Yeah.
I didn't sweat. And I thought, this is really...
I sweat a little bit at the end.
Really good.
I dug this movie, and I am not surprised that it's on a lot of people's lists.
What do you think Rotten Tomatoes was?
You know, the only review, I mean, not really a review, but when it played, I want to say Telluride. It played at one of the film festivals, and they gave the best performance award to all 3 girls from this movie. And at that film festival, they were talking about how a lot of people liked the movie, but it was a very divisive movie. So people either really liked it or they hated it. So I'm not going to give it like in the 90s because while I think there's a lot of people who really love this movie, I think that it's being called very divisive. So I'm going to go in the 80s. I'm going to say like 86 with critics. And I'm going to go around 85 with audiences. It's just when it's an LGBTQ movie, there's always a chance of it being review bombed. So I'm going to go 86 critics, 85 audiences.
80-79.
Oh, that's a little lower than I thought it would.
Yeah, and most of the things that I read, I just read like 3 or 4 of them, and they were like, despite the controversy, or despite the fact of the social importance of this, that they just thought it was all over the place, and they thought that and people hated the music, which I find really interesting, because when I see a show, I don't look at it anymore. And Hamilton taught me this, like, because I didn't really care for the music of Hamilton until I saw it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? It's not about the music. The music is just a way to tell the story. That's why I like Hadestown. I don't really like jazz music, but I didn't dislike it because of that. You kind of let yourself take that setting on. And so I just, even though the music wasn't like the kind of music, I don't find myself listening to the soundtrack going forward.
Yeah.
But in the context of the movie, it worked for me. I thought it was great. So I don't get where they're coming from in that.
Yeah. No, I thought the music was great. There's a couple of songs here I would listen to. Mostly the Zoe Saldana ones. I was always a fan of Zoe Saldana, but I absolutely fell in love with her in this movie.
100%.
I absolutely loved her in this.
Like, she and Selena Gomez show how incredibly versatile they are, and how talented they are, and I'm highly impressed.
Yeah.
It is definitely worth a watch. And and if you don't like subtitled shows, get over it. Watch it, read.
Yeah, you're missing a lot of good movies if you can't get over subtitles.
Yeah, this is a really good one.
Yeah. So next week we'll be back. Wicked is coming out, so we're going to talk about Wicked, and then in honor of Thanksgiving, we're going to revisit an old classic, Home for the Holidays, with a very gay Robert Downey Jr.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, he's a homo in it.
Oh,
yeah.
How exciting.
So we'll be back next week, but until then, the cork is back in the bottle.